Good evening, good evening. Hopefully everybody is doing okay. We should be ready to roll, it looks like. Let me just check one screen here just to make sure everything looks good on my end. Hopefully everybody could hear me. I see there is a question at the top of the screen, which I will answer in just a second here. Topic will be on what the title says, Money in the Bank. We're going to talk a lot about philosophy, on what you do, on what those who do extremely well do. We're going to go off on a little tangent on somebody I know who makes a lot of money. He dwarfs me any day of the week, as well as just some philosophies on making and saving your money as a reseller specifically. The question here at the top, and for some reason I don't have, I don't know if it's me or not, but it won't let me. There we go. Rachel S. has a question. For anyone, a customer bought a large amount of items from me, but instead of sending offers, she sent a list. So I delisted them and put them in a custom lot for her. Was that bad in relation to the logarithm? Somebody else is mentioning that would violate the user agreement. As long as you're selling it on eBay at the same price, and the email would pretty much back that up, that you gave it to them at their price, there isn't anything wrong with doing that I am personally aware of. I have personally done that. I've shown listings where we have combined items into one listing just to make it easier. In some cases, I've had it where eBay would not combine them at the end of the day, and the only way, in fact, eBay even told us this before, the only way to do it would be to combine them. So I will have to say, I haven't personally seen anything in the user agreement that say that's against the rule. Now, if you took those down and put them on another site, offered to the person off-site, that would get you in some big old trouble for sure. I would never, ever do that. But sometimes it's a lot easier. We sell multiple items to the same person. I think my record sale to one single person was 110 items. 108 or 110 to one single person, all cards of a sort. Just the other day, we sold 57 to the same person. Took forever to pull them out, but it would have been easier just to lot them up, but I didn't know the offers were coming in. It was multiple offers. I do get a screenshot sometimes, or a shot of what they want, or a shot of their cart from eBay. Again, I can't see their cart unless they do something like that, and they wrote down what they wanted or what they'd take on them. In those cases, all I did all of the time is just say, hey, go ahead and put those offers in. Yes, I'll take them, or no, I won't. Or I'll just have a blanket statement. We're always happy to place an offer on the item. Please feel free to go ahead and place your offer, and then we can go from there. That's usually what I say, and then we can go from there. That's the key word in there. I don't say I'm going to take them. I want to see their offers specifically. Sometimes I've had an email where somebody has said, hey, I'll give you this for it. And then when the offer came in, it wasn't the amount that they stated in the email. So I don't know if they were trying to scam or not, but I'm very specific on what I say. I never agree to take the offers unless obviously you're okay with it. But again, I don't see anything specifically wrong with that against the user agreement, as long as you're still putting them for sale on eBay. You can end a listing anytime you want. You can do it any way you want whatsoever. eBay actually allows you to hook up your items to another site and sell them through eBay to another site. So again, there'd be nothing wrong with moving your listings from like 10 listings to one. I actually recommend people, when I do store reviews quite often, to combine cheaper items into one single lot. And when they do that, the recommendation for me, and again, I've discussed this for years now, is to just keep one of those listings active, alter the listing, and just copy the photos you already have for the other listings, download them if you don't save them, and then re-upload a couple to that new listing. So you can combine items while one item is still active, and then you're removing a couple of listings. There's nothing wrong with changing your inventory around, or changing something that was a single item or a couple single items into one single lot. Lotting up is a better way in some cases to sell things, where you'll do far better lotting them up than you would if you sold them individually. I don't sell everything individually because obviously that would be impractical for most things. We've been on the road too, just an FYI. I've been in and out. I picked up a massive assortment of China-related paperwork, including some very nice certificates and some documents and stuff. But anyway, we've traveled, so I'm a hair behind for those in Patreon. The video went up yesterday evening, I think. It would have went up Tuesday, but we were on the road. It was really late by the time I got back, so just FYI. Andrew Valenti, well, thank you very kindly. It's been a while. I was part of your original followers a few years ago. Thought I'd pay back a bit. Thank you for your help. Well, thank you very kindly. I do honestly appreciate that, Andrew. Truthfully do. I remember you. I definitely recognize the avatar in Andrew. Generic Eric, how are you doing? Well, thank you very kindly as well for the $10 super chat. If you had a question, I would have been happy to answer it as well. Truly appreciate the super chats. I'm not big on that. I will be, I've said this for like a year and a half, in all honesty. I will be opening up a YouTube membership thing. It'll just be like 2 options for, I think it's going to be a video extra each week, probably 5 a month, I think, of exclusive longer videos that are more detailed. They'll be pretty much similar to what you get on Patreon, because I've had that so many times. People don't want to go to Patreon. Again, I don't do stuff like that usually, but YouTube gave me an offer and they would like me. Anyway, long story short, I'll probably be opening it up for just those who want to support it with the little emojis, which I haven't even created yet. Again, I know I've been talking about that for at least a year and a half, but I think I'll probably just throw it out there. Hey, Mr. Lowe, Charles Lowe in the house. Black Crystal, how are you doing? Black Crystal Dice, a deal finder. Welcome, welcome. Nicole's Treasures. Well, thank you very kindly for the $1.99 super chat. Greatly appreciated as well. I guess that's supposed to be a little fox or a cat. I'm not 100% sure what they got on there. I think I've only done one in my life, one of the super chats. I don't watch much at all on anything hardly these days, to be honest with you. Let me see where we're at. Generic Eric, well, thank you. Good evening. Nantique, how are you doing? Greatly appreciated. The Stun Law 1, how are you doing? Good to see you in house as well. And right below it, the Disgruntled Octopus. Morning, morning. Hey, Joe. How's Joe doing this evening? Right below it, I got Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff? Hopefully things are going well in your area of the country. Purple Rain. Can't miss the Prince conversation there. Hey, Marty. How are you doing, Marty? Marty's going to do something for us here. I got another Weebo video. We've been constantly getting a few clips here and a few clips there. We've come out with a whole new thing we're going to be doing for that. It's going to be a lot different setup, and the wife's doing some clips for it. Anyway, there'll be stuff coming out. I know it always seems like there's just never enough time, so things get put on the back burner far too often. This month, just if you haven't been watching or you haven't listened on a few of my other shows, we've had a massive amount of new folks on the... hang on a second, where are we at? We had a massive amount of new subscribers. I had like 10,000 in the last like 7 days, and things have been flying on this end here. We're right close at the 1 million mark in views for this month, which for me is like phenomenal. This is the highest I've ever been in 1 month time frame. But so I've been flooded on every account. My mailboxes are flooded. I can't even look at normal mail right now. Where are we at? Purple Rain. Matt Jake, how are you doing? How are you doing? Biff Bofo, how are you doing? I've made custom listings for people all the time. As long as eBay gets their fees, they're glad you made the sale. Yeah, that's what I would say as well, too. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing? Hopefully things are going well on your end. Yeah, Rachel, Rachel S. That, as long as you're doing it through eBay, you can move it around all you want. We sometimes will combine stuff, but again, most of the time, if they give me a list, I want to see it come in and make sure the offer's straight. I know I could combine them and stuff, but at some point they may change it, and to break up an item when you combine them like that is tough. You'd have to cancel it, and then you'd have to relist them, and it's tough. We do 0 options, so if I would have to relist them, all my listings are still there. It just goes to 0 when I don't lose the listing. I can just change the quantity, and it's no big deal either way you do it, at least from my end on it. I'm not recommending everybody to go and jump on the boat and do the 0 quantity option. I do it because in many cases I've got a lot. Some items we have up, I've got like 900 of the same one. And I only put so many up at a time. You know, it creates urgency if they only see 1 or 2 left. And, You know, there's some that we've been selling. When one sells, I list another one, and I've been doing that for 2 or 3 years, just because it keeps the value up on the items. If you go list an item and you've got like 200 of them, and no one else has had them the whole time, the amount you're going to get for each one of those is going to drop drastically if you've got them all up. So there's a perceived scarcity when you do it. You're creating a scarcity for an item. If you don't know how diamonds work, the diamond industry, they kind of hoard them. They lock them up in a big safe, basically, and only sell a limited amount because it keeps the price up. It's all controlled. There's a whole market behind it. Just kind of like oil. Oil's the same thing. Hang on here. We're going to talk too, because I've had some questions on dominating a category and things that happen when you do that and all that kind of stuff. We're going to give you a real world example in just a little bit here. Again, thank you, Eric, very kindly. Barbara Engro, how are you doing? Yeah, a lot of people will have the same. They put together special lots. My take on it is eBay allows you to cross-list straight from eBay with a third-party link and pull your items straight from eBay to another platform and sell them. I don't know, I haven't looked in a year or so, but it used to say, like last year on eBay's user agreement, that you can't sell something on another platform at the same time it's on eBay, even though nowadays eBay allows you to do it. They're connecting it up. eBay's allowing that data to flow out, and again, they do the data for third parties and stuff like the API is what it is that does it. Hey Nancy, how are you doing? Good to see you in the house too, Nancy. Nancy Messina in the house. Tone Morris, how are you doing? Balls, well, things are going okay. I conducted my eBay sales via mobile. Don't have a PC this week. The interface change and listings are now required. Box dimensions prior to posting. Thoughts? I don't use the phone at all. The only thing I use my phone for, obviously, is conversation with the family or an emergency case or to look up stuff. I may, in a very rare occasion, if I'm doing like an Amazon purchase, RA or something, I may add quantity on the phone while I'm in the store, because sometimes I can sell stuff before, merchant fulfilled. Or if it's FBA and I have a bunch already there and I can give an estimate, I might add that into my own personal file from the phone. But I couldn't tell you any way around it. Laptop, if you don't have one, you can usually go to the library and use one of theirs just the one time you need to do something. I don't know what else to tell you on that one. If you're doing volume, I couldn't do it on a phone. There'd be no way I could bulk send out or bulk edit in the hub on a regular PC laptop. You can bulk edit, 500 now. I can end and sell similar 200 at a time. All the combined, I can't combine from my phone. I don't know about everybody else, but once in a blue moon, I'll be chatting and somebody will make a couple offers. They'll be sold. And I can't combine unless they send me an invoice from the phone. I don't know any way to do that. Again, I'm not proficient on doing the eBay stuff on the phone. I just have too many listings and too many sites and too much other things going on to even think about messing with the phone. Again, not trying to blow off the topic here. For some people, phones work fine. I'm just not one of those people that likes them. I don't talk on the phone in the car, or don't text and drive, or none of that stuff. I'm not a big fan of that at all. Johnny Kohler, how are you doing? I've been combining items for private sales on eBay for years. Never an issue. eBay always gets their fees. Yep. Hawkeye Pickers, how are you doing? Thank you very kindly, Hawkeye Pickers. Linda Wyatt, good evening, good evening. Jack Rivas 2, Orlando, exploring the biz 8 years ago. Used to sell on Etsy and Bonanza. Thanks for your advice. Well, thank you very kindly. I used to source in Orlando all the time. I was a regional for Einstein Brothers in Orlando. I worked for Disney for 10 years. Hey, Annie, another fellow YouTuber, just like Marty. Jiminy, flip it up there on the top. Didn't mean to forget about calling it out. Hopefully you're doing well, Annie. Annie is very knowledgeable. Grandma Julie Treasures Adventures, congrats on the subscribers. Well, thank you very kindly. Yeah, I usually don't say stuff like that, but I was just like blown away by the numbers this month. Hey, Bob, how are you doing, Mr. Hale? Angie Crowell, how are you doing? Mississippi. We lived in Collins. We lived in Hickory for the biggest amount of time. Hickory, Mississippi. Even Medley teched it on the property. Andrew Jackson camped out. We actually found coins and some buttons and bullets from Andrew Jackson's troops on their camp area. Joe Sikorsky, how are you doing, Joe? Susan H., I had 3 international sales very close together. This is unusual for me. Seems like they're picking up. I use global shipping. I sell pretty well on global shipping. Let's come back to the questions. I'm getting caught up here. Money in the bank. Literally, that's what reselling is for us. I'm going to give you, probably a lot of people know this. The people that I know that are doing the best right now, I say this because I'm cheap too, but I think I can get away with that without offending anybody. They're cheap like me. I don't spend money on stuff. I may buy a shirt or something that I just to wear. I don't spend top dollar. I don't care about brand names for the most part. I may have a pair of jeans that I'll buy the brand because they fit right. I don't really care about the brand. Shoe-wise, I wear the only kind of pairs that Rockports is what I wear, but I would have bought anything if it fit and didn't hurt my feet. I've got some loss in the cartilage in my feet. Anyway, I've got bone almost touching bone. I know I need surgery, but I don't want to be out for 2 months. So I buy a specific pair of jeans because it fits. I buy shoes because they fit. I don't spend extra money unless it's a necessity on anything. For us, this is the first time, and I'm being 100% serious. This is the first time we've had the quantity of money in the bank right now in my life than I've ever had. I've never had this much money sitting around ever. I never. It's still. This isn't a brag. I don't want it to sound like a brag, but once in a while we'll go to the grocery store and I'll forget for a second. I'll think, how much do I have in the cart? For years and years, like a decade of our life, or probably longer than that, we've had to sit there and figure out how much money we had in our cart, our grocery cart, because we only had set amount. I did a budget. We've always had something, and it can't go over that amount. I don't care if it was a quarter. We don't go over whatever it said for groceries. So we had to count. You know, you don't want to get up there and not have the money. This is, checks and all that stuff. You don't want to check bounce. And so that's how drastic it was. We'd have to sell something just to have enough money to pay a bill. That was life for us. So I've learned to be very cheap with everything. I've learned that the best way to make money is not spend anything when you don't have to. So everything just piles up. When we buy something, it's an investment every single time. It's an investment. And I've had people say, well, if you got a big, huge lot, why would you worry about looking up enough to see? Look at the quantity, look at the price. I would rather spend time and look it up and not buy something that's not going to make me set amount of profit. If I'm spending $100 on something, I sure as heck want to get at least $300 or $400 back out of it, an easy $300 or $400. If I've got to work really hard and spend hours and hours of time out of that $100 investment just to get $300, well, it wouldn't even be profit. My time would kill it. I'm not going to buy it. So I look up everything. I don't buy anything these days if I'm not sure. I don't buy anything where it's potluck at all. I don't take chances with my money because, again, it's my money. It's your money if you're taking a chance with it. I really don't. I don't take a chance with something. I can't tell you the last time I lost some money. I bought some, the Patrons, those in Patreon may recognize this. I bought some circus photos, and I thought, oh, man, they were doing great. I sold some right off the bat, and then they sat for a little while. Well, in that time, I've now made like $500 or $600 profit off of them, and we've sold like 20% of them. So I haven't changed the price in over a year. So things again, if I'm sure, I thought that one I was possibly going to lose, but it turned out, no way near losing. I can drop the price now. I've made my money. I've made 500, almost 600 back after all the fees, all my time, everything is done. I don't take chances. I don't take chances with my money. Right now, the pandemic's going on. I know a lot of people are having issues. There's still issues with work. A lot of new resellers are on. Sales are, flooded categories. The clothing dumps from national retailers, all the discount clothing's getting to the same price as used clothing, and on and on and on and on and on. Right now, in all honesty, with us leveraging what we buy and how we buy it, our numbers are still up there. I've still got money going in the bank, and that amount keeps growing. I would have never, if I worked for, what I used to do before this was in casual dining, Applebee's. I ran Cracker Barrel as a GM and stuff like that. I would be broke. I would be broke right now if I was still in that industry, because around here the restaurants are struggling beyond belief if they even have enough staff to stay open. most of the brick and mortar industries had such a watershed moment with closing and months on end with on not being open. A lot of them have shuttered and things like that. This industry for us is put money in the bank. What I do, how I sell it, the fact that I am dedicated to this. I've got a humongous drive to get somewhere. I've got a vision where I want to go with this. I'm not just blindly saying, hey, I'm going to just throw some stuff up on eBay and whatever happens, happens. I've got a plan. I've got, a 5-year projection and on and on and on. We've expanded, we've branched out to this spot, that spot, new endeavors, new things going on. We're taking advantage of it. I'm occupying my time. I'm not piddling my money away. I'm not, we did buy a car, and then, we had to get another one from the total. But the point of it is you need transportation, you need reliable transportation. We invested in a vehicle that holds its value. I invested in the extended warranty. So, we've got 125,000 miles of coverage, 5 or 7 years, whatever. I think it's 7 years. We spent the extra. I would rather spend extra ahead of time because it's an investment. At the end of the day, we've already had to have when we were meeting $1 Million Peddlers Dave Paperboy, we had car troubles and we just got it. And that my car I got in December, the new one that I bought for me and the wife, was our anniversary present on top of it. We got like 2,200 miles in that vehicle since we've had it since December of last year. So we haven't driven it that much, and I was just wasn't expecting it, and it pretty much covered like a third of the investment in the extended warranty from one single issue. And this hasn't even been a year since we've had the vehicle, so that's an investment. Anything that goes wrong, bumper to bumper, other than a tire, is covered in that vehicle. That's the only type of thing that I'll shell out money for is coverage. We've got a BOP. I've got a business owner's policy for my business here. That's an investment. That's clearly an investment. It covers us for losses, for damage, weather, and on and on and on and on and on. It covers us. It covers my business from losses. So again, that's an investment. If you're smart and you're just starting off, just because you had a good week, let's say you sold $1,000. I don't know what everybody else's sales is going to be. $1,000 may be good for you. It may be bad for you. We've done we've done 5,000 in a day. So I'm not trying to. I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm not trying to belittle somebody who's only doing a few $100s. Everybody starts somewhere. You've got to be invested in this. You've got to get the mechanics of this down so you can move on to the more important stuff. Your job as a new reseller is to get all the knowledge you can, understand how to list, understand what gets your items sold, understand your keywords. Once you got all the mechanics, the aspect of doing eBay itself, once you've done it for a while, it's nothing to it. Maybe there'll be some aggravation or something, but all the mechanics you need to get down ASAP on anything. There's a learning curve. It'll take you some time. You need to be investing like 95% of your time into your sourcing if you're new. You've got to find the best stuff out there. You've got to find items that are in non-flooded categories. If you can dominate a category, it's money in the bank for you if you have domination in a category. I've got 2 categories I've got more than 2. I've got 3 or 4 small niches that I'm number one and have been for like 5 or 6 years. We still have 15,000 in Victorian trade cards, and now I'm 100%. We hit the number one button seller on eBay. We've got almost 6,000 listings, about 7,800 buttons listed, and then another probably 1,000 that aren't shown but are technically tied to listings there. So there's like 8,700, 9,000 buttons we have listed, or that they're there but you just can't quite see them all. We don't list, again, quantity of everything. I have some hidden terms into my listings, so I know when to add one to some specific listings so they don't get mixed. Dominating a category. If you've got a controlling amount in a category, and again, you're not going to do it in a flooded category. The biggest ones, maybe, like you can dominate a video game category if you get big enough, if you can buy big bulk lots, and on and on and on. Paper and antiques and collectibles are truthfully the easiest ones to do that in once you've been doing this for a little while. Now, what do you get from dominating a category? What do I mean by dominating a category? I've got more listings in any buttons you can buy in any of the other folks out there. I've got more listings than they have up at this point in any of the button categories come out. I swamp them with listings. With that, my listings are spread out. Even if I list a whole bunch at once with relists and all that stuff in 60, 90 days, they're spread out. So if someone's scanning for any type of button, I cover I'm on every page. Let's just put it that way. I don't think a page goes by after searching by 200 at a time, or what's it, 240 or whatever it is. I don't think a page goes by where they're not seeing my listings. And we've even this is with anything. I don't care what item. We're talking about what you get out of it. It doesn't matter the item. Same thing works with anyone. The category that I'm talking about, there's a limited amount of sellers. There's a large enough base of collectors. There's a large enough base of listings. There's a large enough percentage that I have of that base. So I'm seen all the time. My prices are more and more overtaking other folks' prices. I'm pricing it the way I see that my stuff are selling. Again, these are vintage. They're collectibles. I've been into this field for decades, so I'm not, fantasizing about a lot of the prices. We sell buttons for hundreds. Some buttons can sell for $4,000 or $5,000. We're talking about shirt buttons, clothing buttons. Some can sell for more than that, believe it or not. But once you've dominated, you control the prices of the items. You're always going to be seen on a page if you've got quantity in those niches. If you're 20% of all items on eBay in a specific type, plus you're dominating by 2x times the person with the next most amount on eBay, you're crushing it. You're going to get more sales, even higher prices out of your items than anybody else. And that's in my opinion, it's a given, because every time we've dominated a category, that's exactly what happens. We sell more than everybody else. We get more than everybody else. Our names on them, they always come back to us because we try to refresh those categories that we dominate in. On a weekly basis, at least 2 or 3 times a week, we're listing items in categories that we're dominating in, even if it's a small niche category. It may not necessarily be a full-fledged category on eBay, but it is a category a collector would be looking for. Las Dos Palamos, well, thank you very kindly. I honestly and sincerely appreciate that. Looks like a little blue peach. Well, thank you very kindly for the super chat. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Truthfully is. Again, if you post one up there, I'll be happy to answer some questions specifically for you as well, too. But again, back to Money in the Bank and dominating a category. How do you dominate a category? Well, you can't just come out there and say, well, I'm going to pick a category and I'm going to dominate the category. I have never been able to pick a category and dominate the category. The category has picked me. And what do I mean by that? When I'm out there sourcing, I run into the same types of things because of the type of places that I go to. Sometimes it may be a picker getting something for me. Sometimes I hit the same place and they keep having the same types of items in their facility, or whatever the case may be. There's a tons of reasons. I didn't start out to sell postcards or any of that stuff. We've sold some in the past. I just pick up a few here or there and I'd sell the better ones, and we did okay. And then now we've got 5,000 postcards up. Trade cards. I never thought, at one point we had 17,000 postcards up. In about 2-year time span, we've sold 5,000 or better, I would gather, just of specifically a narrow category, slice of category. I found those by accident. We ran into a dealer. I ran into a big-time collector at an estate sale, or a estate sale that was a big-time collector we purchased in mass. And then it started to dawn on us where to look for things, and we got to be in the know. People would call us, and things changed. Again, nothing that I've picked or we're doing now as a dominating category thing, we picked. It happened because I was able to get it. You can pick any category you want, but if you can't get those items, you're never going to be able to sell them. I sell what I can get. I probably could still delve into clothing if I wanted to drive 3 hours to, Goodwill, the bins, because there's one 3 hours away. That's our closest one. Any way around. It's a 300, I could go 300 miles in a circle, and that's how far I would have to go just to get to one. Whichever direction I would go. So it's really not practical for us to do that. In all honesty, I would never want to mess with the bins, and I've seen videos of people fighting in We've been to one. To be truthful, I think it was in Columbus. We went up to the one in Michigan maybe once a year or two ago, but it wasn't my thing. Nothing about it. I'm just not into the clothing at all, and that was mostly what it was for what we saw. But again, you've got to penny pinch. Back to what a millionaire. So I know a millionaire. I'm not trying. It's not a brag. I know somebody who makes more than $1 million a year. He's cheaper than I am. He may have a decent car. I'm not going to give out the brand, but it's an expensive car. The thing's going to last some 500,000 miles without really anything. He's got a warranty. I mean, for what he's got into it, probably an average person who doesn't think to spend the extra money on the warranty, they're neck and neck. Even though he bought a luxury car, by the time your warranty runs out, you're going to end up spending money and on and on and on. He's smart. Everything else, though, he dresses like a bum. He dresses with, I mean, ripped up jeans because they're ripped up, not because he bought them ripped up. Holes in them, they're ragged at the bottom. His shoes look like he needs a new pair of shoes. He wears them till the soles are gone, pretty much. He fixes his car up to make sure it has the routine maintenance, all this stuff. That's where his money goes. He saved up. They did get a house. He didn't get anything fancy, not anywhere near what I would think for what the guy's making. And this is just one example there. He goes to Goodwill and still buys clothing to wear at a Goodwill sometimes. I mean, that's the type of mentality that you have, because if you're running a business, like a brick and mortar business, I worked as a manager. I was accountable for every dime that went into the places that I worked. You've got a penny pinch because I want to make my bonuses. Sure, it's a give and take and all, but if you're running it yourself, you can't get a bonus. You can't get a raise. The only way you can do that is by saving money and making more money. So again, everything goes in the bank on our end. Everything goes into the bank. When I worked for somebody, I couldn't put money in the bank. Even I made 6 digits when I worked as a regional in D.C. area through 9/11 and all that stuff. We made over $100,000 a year. Taxes, the amount of our apartment was $3,600 for where we lived. We could see the Potomac, and that was like a cheap one for around there in the D.C. area. And we didn't pick it because of any view. We picked it because of the only thing available and the cheapest thing that wouldn't have put us on the Beltway for 2 hours a day. It was really close to where we worked. So you might make 6 digits, but by the time you spend all the money on the bills and stuff, it was $44,000 a year in 36, $40,000 a year basically in just rent. And that's literally what it cost us to live in D.C. in a park close enough. And again, we were forced to, there was nothing available, and on and on and on and on. Money, in that case, I couldn't put anything away in the bank. I never made enough doing work for somebody else because, again, they were taking the lion's share of the profits. So this industry is one of the reasons why I have money in the bank, why we have a spending account for just business expenses, why we've got payroll accounts for payroll. I don't spend money unless I need to. I don't frivolously buy something because, it looked great on the wall. If we run into something while we're sourcing, that's pretty much everything in our house. Nice furniture, if it comes from sourcing, that's where we got we got a leather living room set that was sourced. It's very nice leather. But anyway, the point of it is I don't shell out. I'm cheap on every aspect of it because I used to have no money for the longest part of my life, the majority of it. I learned that the name brands didn't get me anything. I'm far happier by not, again, I truthfully feel this way. I'm far happier by not having that money and having to live, even paycheck to paycheck because my family's really tight. We're a tight-knit family. We did everything together. We nature and the parks and bike riding and fishing and, our kids are as educated as they can be, and we push them and we tried to invest. Again, I couldn't. I didn't have the money to put it in the bank back in those days when I worked for somebody for 20 plus years of our life. Money went in almost as quickly as it came out. We'd have to fix the car up or whatever. I learned to repair pretty much anything in the car. Me and the wife put an engine and a transmission in. I pulled it out together. We unbolted them together. We rented the equipment together. Me and the wife put that in a car, and I've done everything until we could afford to do otherwise. If it meant I could save a few $100s, I would do it. If it meant I could save 1,000, I did. I've tore the dashboard out of a car and put in the heating core. If you ever put in a heating core, you know exactly how much of a nuisance that is. It took all day long, but again, it was over $1,000 for somebody else. It was like $1,400 back then, I think, because you got to pull the dashboard out, the steering wheel had to be jacked out, and the seat has to be pulled. Long story short, it was an ordeal. But again, you do what you can to save money. Your goal as a first-time business owner is to get as much in the bank as you can. Now, what's the big ordeal? You're paying your bills, you're happy with everything. Well, let's say you want to expand your business, or you want to get a loan so you can make a huge investment to grow it, exponentially. You're going to come to a point, if you're not growing your business, even if it's growing it financially, you're making a couple thousand extra a year because you've changed light bulbs. And believe it or not, you can save a lot of money just by cleaning light bulbs, or changing the light bulbs, by controlling the air conditioning, cleaning the coil. I mean, these are stupid things. I shouldn't have to tell people this, but you can cut if you haven't cleaned your air conditioner, your condensers and your coil and all that outside, you could be spending 30 or 40% more on cooling this year. Believe it or not. I know I'm not trying, it's not a conservation, it's a money saving factor. I know that all sounds crazy and stuff. Hanging curtains up in certain areas where the sun beams and will cut your heating costs or your cooling costs and all that kind of stuff. That all means that you're making more money. Now, that may be penny pinching to a lot of people, but again, this is my money now. I'm not working for somebody else. If I mess up somebody else, I'm not losing a dime. But if I mess up here, I'm losing money. If I want to make more money, I try to cut costs without cutting quality, changing things up, turning lights off and, to LEDs and all that stuff. I'm telling you, it honestly will save you a couple $100 easily in a month if you're like us and constantly, having lights on, and you've got LED panels for, photographing items and all this other stuff. All this electronic equipment that we have runs, it's probably half of our bills. Utility bills are just business related, more than that. It's probably like 70% of our utility bills across the board are related to reselling. So if I can cut that down by 20%, that means I'm making 20% more off of that amount of money. It's ridiculous not to do it. Your goal, again, is to do that. Once you're able to have money in the bank and you're growing it and you're staying with your bank, you're following all the rules, you're doing everything you can work with your bank to help them bankroll your purchases. You want to get into wholesale. Do you have enough money to buy a wholesale deal? If you get in good with the bank, you take out a loan if you need to, you pay it off early and you show the bank you're good, you do this, you do that. Most banks aren't going to give you, first-time business owner, any loans. They're not going to give you anything other than a bank account. So you've really got to up your game if you want to get in. I'm not going to say big boys range, I guess, because to me, the idea of a bank giving you a letter of guarantee was crazy, that I would ever be able to get that. A letter of guarantee from a bank means that I don't have to spend money on an item, maybe at all. The bank will cover it. So a letter of guarantee is a letter that states from your bank, your banker, whoever you work with, that says, hey, this guy is good for this amount of money for this purchase, for a wholesale purchase. And if for some reason something happens, we guarantee you, the person I'm trying to buy the merchandise from, that we'll cover it for you. Now, what does that letter of guarantee get me other than, guarantee that if I can't swing it? It gets me the fact that I can do 30 days net, money due in 30 days, basically, a bill waiting for 30 days, meaning that I can take possession of merchandise on the 1st of, say, October, and I don't have to pay for it till the last day of the month. So if you've got a hot item, you're picking wholesale, you've got an in on something, I can buy like a pallet of something, not have to pay for it for 30 days, get it up the very day that I purchase it. Let's say it's all the same unit. It's going to work and move fast on, say, an FBA fulfilled by Amazon. And I list it up. In many cases, you can have it sold, or at least enough sold, to pay the bill before the bill is even due. And you've got the whole experience was, free of any money you having to spend. I didn't have to spend a dime to do that. So a letter of guarantee from the bank guarantees that that's going to be covered, which means that they're okay with letting me float for 30 days to pay them. You'll get 90 days if you don't pay out. There's this process. 30 days it's due. You'll get a notice. They'll give you a 60-day warning. If it's not due at 90 days, then, or if you don't pay it by 90 days, then they go after you. Obviously, you pay it ahead of time and you're all set, ready to go. So if you know what you're doing, you have good standing with the bank, you're saving all your money, you're not blowing it on stupid things, you don't need the latest watch, you don't need the latest phone, you don't need any of that stuff if you're just struggling. Again, I see people with, a $2,000 phone or whatever they cost now, and yet they can barely afford to pay and keep their lights on. I'd rather get a cheaper phone and not worry about all that. If it has what you need, that's fine. Again, I'm not picking on somebody. If you can afford it and that's what you want, get whatever you want. But if you're new, you're struggling, which right now so many people are, the best way is to save every dime, to penny pinch, to track your money, to know where every dime in your business goes. This industry, I promise you, this industry will give you the biggest chance to put money in the bank. I made a lot of money, what most people would consider a lot of money, at 6 digits, at 100,000 plus, working for Einstein Brothers. But when you figure in your bills, you figure in income tax and all that stuff, it's nothing. It's wherever you live, the cost of living is higher in some areas. California, it's through the roof, and New York, and on and on and on and on. You've got to take all that into consideration. I couldn't save money there, but with doing this and leveraging myself and being cautious and not buying the biggest house on the block and not doing this and not doing that, I don't have to have all that. I don't need to live fancy. I just want to be happy. I want to be able to use my time the best I can for what I want to use it for, whether that's the freedom to do something or not do something, anything else like that. So we'll go back to some questions. Patreon, I will be addressing, I should get to everything still tonight. I'm going to be up until it's done, I hope. I've been on the road this morning. As I said, we were on the road. Tomorrow's video for YouTube is titled The Best Salvation Army Items We've Ever Found. And that's what the video is going to be, just FYI. It was shot a little while ago. I just haven't had a chance to get it up. It was supposed to be up yesterday. If you noticed, there was no live video. I did a quick short that I had somebody else post. Again, we were on the road, and things have been fairly hectic. Hang on one second here. I only use my phone for business work or family. Okay, hang on. Let me put that down. Let me see here where we're at on questions and comments. Joe, my wife and I love watching your show. We're growing our business currently. Thank you thank you very kindly, Joe. B8 and 2U. What's up, gang? How are you doing? Good evening. Matt Krause, I hit number 2 in collectibles, pen and pencils, number 33 in postcards. Yeah, don't use eBay's ratings for determining where you stand in there, because I don't think those are correct. To be honest with you, if they are, I'm way up on like a ton of categories. But congratulations, I hope those are correct. I know you've been working hard. Matt's been around and following for quite some time, so wouldn't doubt that he's up there. I'm sure you have more than we do. I've got a box or two, 300 or 400 that I haven't even touched yet. I've kind of sidetracked on pens and pencils and stuff. They sell extremely well. I just did a video on pens and pencils. We've sold some for hundreds of dollars. Like a fountain pen, $1,000, $2,000 for the right one, easily for the right one. We sold them for hundreds as well. So, Psalm 119, how are you doing? Good evening, good evening. If it flips, it ships. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. I've got 232 people in house, 76 thumbs up. Again, if you're enjoying it, show some love for the channel. For those, if you happen to speak Espanol, comprende Espanol, YouTube reached out and they offered me an early option in for subtitles in Spanish for free. I was really surprised. I got like an early in notice, so just waiting for that to roll out. So maybe that'll be an opportunity for folks who maybe need some translation or something else. It's free, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Tone Morris, anytime. And I do try to answer questions on the show as well. Well, Joe, thank you very kindly for the $2 super chat. Greatly, greatly appreciated. How did I miss that? For some reason, my chat must not be showing everything correctly. Huh, that's weird. Well, sorry about that. Number 12 in Victorian trade cards, 86 in postcards, not 33. Did I miss somebody? Do you have recommendations for finding value of buttons? Dan Wright. Depends on the buttons you're selling, I guess I would say. Ladies' buttons have a whole different market, and then I don't. The highest place or the best place to sell some ladies' buttons isn't eBay. The best place to sell some military buttons isn't eBay, to be honest with you. Everyday buttons, which is what most people are going to find. eBay's a perfectly fine, probably the best site for a lot of them. We average 1,600 to 2,000, I think, in sales and just buttons. I think it's every 14 days, I think. I'd have to think about that, but I want to say the last number I saw for a 2-week time span was about $2,000 in button sales. eBay's perfectly fine pricing on Terapeak, at least for most common things. Other than that, you're not. There's like secondary markets, like railroad buttons and things. I look at a couple of sites that just sell railroad related items. For other types of things like postal collectibles, postal buttons, they're on a different site. For some of the foreign ones, I'll go to eBay Germany, eBay UK, and things like that, and track down the prices from places like that. When I say eBay, I don't necessarily just mean eBay US. There's 11 or 12 eBays right now. They're all different. So if you go to eBay Canada, you'll see, I think eBay Canada shows US items these days, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they do, but if you're any of the European eBays, you're getting European prices for the items. In some cases, though, like let's say you have some German buttons, German Imperial Germany and stuff from 1890s Prussian eras and stuff. You're not going to find a lot of those even in Germany because there's not many button collectors. A lot of those types of items may have been melted down for war efforts. Around here, people have been collecting buttons in this country for 125 or better years. So, again, I don't know. Overseas, I know there's some that they collect too, but it's like postcards. Postcard collectors are mostly U.S. So I sell a lot. The biggest thing I send overseas right now is buttons. Lot to Germany. Whenever I get early German ones, we had some 1830s German states buttons not too long ago, and everyone sold. I've got another bunch lined up that they just photographed today, but everyone's sold overseas. So I set the prices on those. There was none that sold anywhere on the globe that I could find, and I had somebody even check for me on WorthPoint just to make sure that I wasn't crazy and wasn't missing something. There's private sites that you'll see buttons sold at too. North-South Traders Civil War. If you're doing Civil War buttons, it would be a good source for that. Some of the boards that sell buttons, there's a lot of button dealers and stuff too. George Washington Relics and a bunch of other sites like that. It just, again, it depends on what you're selling. I can't give you a specific for every type. Like crests and stuff like that and livery buttons. Those are a whole different set of buyers and stuff. Military buttons from like European countries, it's different. You'll have to come up with your own prices on a lot of those, and you don't want to undersell them either. But can you turn on auto combine and shipping preferences? There are preferences you can do to combine, like 5 cents extra or whatever for each individual item. I've never had the cart really work that way. To do that though, it can't be offers. You can't do that with offers. So it won't combine when they do an offer because each one is accepted differently. The only way to set up a combined one, and the only way it would even work, is if they put them in their cart, did not use the best offer option, and just purchased everything in their cart. If you set it up right, it will calculate those if they're like-to-like items and stuff. But in all honesty, I rarely ever have anybody check out with the cart. It's always a one-by-one item because I'm almost always selling everything as a buy it now with the best offer. And so it's usually an offer from a watcher or an offer to a watcher. That's usually what all of my sales are these days. Very rarely do I sell anything other than that. Obviously, some we sell at list price, but that's few and seldom and far between. I do have a video on setting some of that up, but I don't even mess with it much anymore. Most of the combined shipping is just done after the people buy it. The biggest thing I would say is I do not require automatic payment, nor have I ever. I think once when they first switched stuff on eBay, they forced it, and you had to go back in and figure out how to turn it off, which I did, and I turned it off and never used it since. So if somebody buys something with a buy it now or whatever, they don't have to pay right away, and they usually just send me a notice. We've got so many repeat customers. Every day of the week, we've got a couple repeat customers. Every day of the week, I've got a couple repeat customers. Say it a couple times there because if you sell in a niche, you dominate. That's what's going to happen as well. They're going to keep coming back, especially if you stay in those niches. If you dominate a niche for a week or something, you never stick with it, you don't find more stuff, you're going to lose those repeat business because they're not going to see anything new to keep coming back for. That's how it works. My repeat business sometimes carries 60% of my sales in a day sometimes. It's a big, huge chunk. Christopher Buxton, are you going to the world's largest yard sale this weekend? I'm not going anywhere this weekend. We've been on the road. I don't usually do those type of things anymore at all. I target source everything. I used to love going to those, don't get me wrong, but speaking of putting money in the bank, I don't waste time if I don't know I'm going to get something. So I don't ever go around and randomly go to places unless I'm doing it for fun or maybe to get some footage or something. Other than that, I could care less anymore these days about sourcing that way. Somebody calls me or I track something down and I go straight to that person or to that source. I buy what they got and I'm coming straight back. Maybe I'll do 3 or 4 stops in the same day. I'll just stop, pick up, stop and pick up, and stop and pick up. I'm not sourcing or looking. I'm literally going somewhere. That's targeted sourcing. Nothing wrong with sourcing, driving around, stuff like that. I did that for years and years, and it worked out decent. But once you get big enough, you can target bulk. Everything I buy is bulk almost these days. I mean, literally, almost every single purchase I do is multiples. The China lot I got, 300-400 items. Some really phenomenal pieces here. I was really surprised to get it. Spent some money, almost 400, but I'm very happy with what we got. 1 or 2 items will pay for the entire purchase, and I'm talking, I'll be selling some of this stuff for a few years. I'll make my money back the very first week it goes up, maybe even day 1. So again, I don't buy anything. I don't try to randomly go anywhere. If you see me at a thrift store, we've been looking for a table forever. We even look at some antique malls and stuff. Again, this is just free time. I don't have to go to a thrift store to source anything. I don't think I haven't sold anything I've purchased at a thrift store in months and months, other than a vase that a Patreon really wanted, which I don't usually would do it, but I just let them set a price and I let them have it for whatever the price was. I don't have any necessity to rush to sell something. I don't have a necessity. If I swung the camera around right now, I am flooded with inventory. I don't even know where to put it anymore. I try to keep it off the floor, but it's gotten itself on the floor, and we had to put up another shelf, and on and on and on. Again, I'm trying to clear out a spot, and we keep getting stuff again only because it's so dirt cheap, and it's such a profit. One thing I do with the stuff we buy, I pull out the item or 2 items that are going to give me all my money back immediately. I sell those. So anything that's sitting in inventory right now, 98% of it is probably already paid for. So I get people, well, you're holding on to all this value. You've got money tied up in it. I don't have money tied into it because of the way I shop. I buy in bulk. I research everything. If I'm not going to make a set amount after my time is invested, after my cogs are back out of it, the cost of goods, after my listing fees and taxes, if I'm not going to make this amount of money, I'm not going to mess with it. What too many people end up doing, and I've heard it personally from Patreons and folks talking to them, for years, people will buy something thinking it's too good to be true. It's such a good deal. There's so much here. But by the time you invest all your time and energy into it, first off, when you're new to something you buy, you got a huge learning curve. So that big, massive purchase that you think is going to make you a ton of money may not make you that much money because you're going to blow all your time. When you're blowing your time on that means you're not selling something else that could have got you a quicker return, a better return, and a steady return on it. So if you're not weighing that option in it, time is money. The more time you blow on something, the less money you're putting in the bank. This is all about, making bank with this. This is all about getting, dollar bills, y'all. That's what this is about. Thick cheddar. That's what this is about. If you're not putting a routine amount of money into the bank, you're not motivated like I am, I guess. Motivation. You've got to be motivated into this. You've got to, whether it's money or not, whether you get excited and it gets you off watching your bank account grow, which, hopefully it does, at least to some extent, knowing that it's all on you. You're doing it yourself. You're controlling your own destiny. And I know in the past I'd have thought it's just some idiot saying control your destiny and all this stuff, but in all honesty, You can control your life and your destiny, with your own business like this. I never thought that was possible. I'll be the first one to raise my hand 10 years ago and say, you're crazy. You can't do this full time. I wasted 20 years of my life doing this part time until I'm like, wait a minute. I'd be the first one to say you can't do this. But I've been able to, and if I can do it, anybody has the opportunity. You all have the opportunity to do this. I'm not just splashing words out there and some word salad trying to tell you that that's what's going to happen. It's feasibly possible. If I can do this, anybody can do this. I'm nothing special. I just am dedicated. I'm motivated, and I don't take no for an answer. I'm not going to lose out. I'm going to keep going. The world's my oyster, and I want that. I want that oyster. I want to, do as much opportunity. Again, I'm not trying to be rich. I just want to grow this where I don't have to worry anymore, where my kids will be set and my wife will be okay if something happens to me or whatever the case may be. You've always got to have a insurance policy for yourself. You've got to have money in the bank if something happens. If you are a one-person operation, what happens if you break a leg and you can't go sourcing? You can't even drive. What are you going to do to source? So you always have to have money in the bank. You always have to have a backup plan. You always have to have something. If the power goes out here, we've got like battery backups enough to run this place for like a full day, enough to still list even, and enough to run my printers, to get labels produced and all that stuff. If for some reason that goes out, there are places I know where I can go and get to like the library, like I was saying earlier. There's a couple library branches. You can just show them your county library card and boom, you can use a computer. Worst case scenario, log in through a VPN on a public, you should all know that. But anyway, let's pop back down over here. Again, if you're enjoying the conversation, please slam that thumbs up. 238 in-house as of now. You're going to the worlds. Again, no disrespect to you, Christopher Buxton. I don't randomly source anymore at all, just because, again, I bulk everything. As much as I love, and I miss, that's the biggest problem about doing this the way we do it. I miss all that fun stuff. I really get off. I really love sourcing and finding that rare vintage item that no one's seen in a couple hundred years, but I can't do it. And again, it's a business decision. What works best for me. It may not work great for everybody else, but this is what works for me. Where are we at? Hang on just a second. Sheila Goins, I hate it when people cross post and sell on one, then you buy it on another and it's gone. I buy and sell and don't cross post. If you that's again the reason why I talk about you have to be able to sync your inventory. I don't cross list anything without a syncing option for it. If you sync, like Shopify as your hub, if you load your eBay listings to Shopify, Shopify syncs for you, so you'll never sell the same item twice ever. So the people who are cross-listing and double selling stuff don't have a sync. That's again why I don't recommend like List Perfect at all, or any of those options, because List Perfect, Perfectly or whatever doesn't sync. The reason everybody promotes it, and I'm going to say this and I get hate from people all the time, is because they get a commission off of you. I know people who personally say they're making $1,000 off of List Perfectly commissions who are YouTubers. I haven't made a single dime because I don't recommend something that I wouldn't recommend using. I don't recommend using anything. It has nothing to do with List Perfectly. It only has to do with the limited feature. I talk to them about, what can you do? How can do this? And because you got to go in and check every listing. I can't do that. You can't end and sell similar through List Perfectly. You can't do so much stuff. It doesn't sync your items. Don't do anything that won't sync your items. Sync them all. Go to a third-party app. What's it? WooCommerce or BigCommerce or whatever they are. I got videos on that too, but I'm a Shopify person. Shopify syncs everything. You don't even have to have a Shopify store. You can have it ghosted where no one can see your personal store and just use it to cross-list. So it will be just there to sync your stuff for $30 a month. For tens of thousands of listings, it's $30 a month to have it, and you don't have to have your web page at all. You can just literally use it to sync. They can all be hidden and just be used to sync. So to be something that no one would even know you have, and you can sync your items. InkFrog will allow you to sync eBay and Amazon together, so if you just want to sell on the two biggest ones, you have that option with just InkFrog, and again, that's only $30 a month as well. So anyway, I don't get any money from saying that from them. That they just work the best from what I've had. And I base my use of Shopify on the fact of how much it costs for me to cross list the amount of items I have. I've got tens of thousands of listings active right now. For the average person, you could probably go to most of the sites and get a close to the comparable price as us. But once you hit quantity, you can't, because a lot of them charge by how many listings you have cross-listed and how many listings they're going to process. So again, that's the gist on it. If you cross-list correctly, you will never sell the same item twice, ever, 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 because the minute it sells on eBay, it will automatically change the amount of quantity on all the sites that those items were cross-listed on. So if I have, say, a book, and I have it on Amazon, I have it on eBay, I have it on Etsy, I have it on Books or something, Shopify, when it sells on, say, eBay, it's going to pull it down from the other 3 sites for me. It'll change the quantity to 0, basically. Another reason why I have a 0 quantity option, too, because the listing will still be there. It'll just show 0 quantity. So if something changes, there's a mistake or something, all I got to do is go back, and I don't have to relist anything. I don't even have to click on the listing. I can just do the quick the quick change that eBay's added in like 8 months ago, and change the quantity from the hub without even clicking on the listing itself. That's a huge plus. If somebody doesn't pay for an item and it's sold, I don't have to relist it. I just change the quantity, and I don't lose my watchers. You don't lose your watchers when you do 0 quantity. Does it for your whole store, so you can't just do it for a few items, just FYI. Letha Eller. My grandmother's name was Althea, and everybody called her Letha. You're the first person, it's not spelled the same way, but it's darn close. You're the first person or first name I've seen that was similar to my grandmother's. Cross-listing a pack of 3 magazine holders also to Etsy, and a man bought both listings immediately because he wanted 6 before I even saw the sale. See, again, if you have it directly synced, that won't happen. It'll pull it off, again, if you've got it on 2 sites. Now, if you're just using List Perfectly to do it, you're never going to be able to sync them. I'm not trying to pick on List Perfectly, because there's a dozen other apps that do that, but they don't sync your items. Don't ever use something that doesn't sync your items. Don't go to another platform unless you have a syncing option, because that's what's going to happen. And if it does, if they buy it from other site and it's eBay that they buy it from and you don't have it, most people just lie and say the buyer has to cancel it. That's probably not the case. You could get dinged if the buyer report. Long story short, you don't want to be out, so cover yourself. Having Shopify or something is safer, because again, you can use the direct sync and it will sync your items, so you're never going to sell the same item twice. That's the whole point why I don't recommend List Perfect. That's why I'm not making any of that YouTube dough, because I would never ever recommend something that I would never use first, nor ever recommend, because it's not featured. It doesn't offer the features you need. If it doesn't sync, why would you want to use it? It'll just cause you trouble, because just like that, you're going to sell the same item twice. If you get dinged a couple of times in the first so many months on eBay, they could close you down or suspend you or anything. It's where you got to be very careful. Again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I've just been careful on that. Matt saying eBay rep told him that the logarithm will rate my postcards higher if I had at least 4 photos. I'm gonna say I debunked that. I'm gonna say that's not true, and that rep wasn't a tech guy probably and has no clue. I think they're telling people to do that because they're pushing this. I don't see any difference from people using 4 or 3 images. I have 3 on all of our postcards. I'm not going up to 4. I don't care what eBay says on it. The keywords are the biggest factor in my book. The keywords are the biggest factor in my book. I can't see in the world that there's a big difference. The only thing I know eBay can tell, again, you'd have to write code in there for them to tell, and they can't get their act together at all in writing code. They can tell if there's more than one image, because the main image stays with one section of the database. All the other images are somewhere else. So when it pulls the images to a page, when you land on the page, eBay can count the amount probably coming in. But I don't see any need for them. They can definitely tell instantly how many, if you've got more than one, I should say. But the point is, I don't see quantity up. That's been on their, what's that, the eBay listing quality report. That's the number one thing they always tell you. One of them says have 7 images for a piece of paper that's 2-sided. Yeah, I don't listen to any of that. I will ignore when a rep tells me that. Unless you talk to the IT department themselves, the people who wrote the algorithm, everything else that those reps have is on a piece of paper or a screen, and this is their talking points that they're supposed to tell people when they call. I don't buy them when they say that you'd get better results with more photos. Their listing quality, again, not a dog on Matt at all, because I've had reps tell me similar things, and I totally don't believe anything they say, because unless it's, again, a tech department, and I've never had them allow me to talk to a tech person ever on eBay, even when we had technical issues. They even blew me off on that. But point is, I don't buy that unless you're able to talk to the highest echelon of code writers at eBay. You're not going to know for sure that that rep has any clue on what they're talking about. Again, I don't buy that at all. The listing quality report, the number one thing it always told me on mine, I haven't looked at it in months, is you need to promote your listings. That's the number one thing for every reason why, if this is down or that, it's always promote your listings, and then more photos and free shipping. Those are the three things that recommended for everything I do. And I just said I'm done with it because none of that stuff was true. And it gave me like percentages of like who else did it and, you know, where I fall and all this stuff. And those numbers weren't right. I even have a video on that. Some of the information that they gave me could no way be right based on other numbers right below the number they just said. This is the correct number. So I don't trust eBay's numbers or totals, to be honest with you. I don't trust what eBay tells me on that. I will never do an extra image just to satisfy eBay on that. I don't see any benefit in it whatsoever. And if you cross-list your items, it doesn't matter on other platforms. Why would it matter on eBay, I guess is the point. And again, no disrespect. Love to you, Matt. I completely understand that the rep says that, but I don't believe a rep when they say that. Just my personal take on that one there. Let's slide down a little bit here. John Scamardo. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too bad. I've noticed cross sales recently. Purchased an item on eBay and was sent the item in an Amazon box and shipped through them. Well, it probably wasn't shipped through Amazon, I would say. It was just shipped through a shipper, because if it's sold on eBay, they're not going to have a sales to use to print the label off from there. But we print from, you know, UPS. Well, not UPS. What's the last one I did? Yeah, I guess I did do one FedEx. We had to. But anyway, usually I'll just print from PayPal. I'll go to PayPal and print it. You still get a discount. Or I'll use Pirate Ship to print it if I sell it like that way. I use an Amazon box once in a blue moon, but the item wasn't an Amazon. It was something we purchased for our own personal use, and an Amazon box came in. Sometimes I'll have a padded envelope. In fact, I have one sitting here right now, 6x9 Amazon Prime envelope. Sometimes I may throw something in there and just stick my eBay printed label on it. It doesn't necessarily mean that the item was cross-listed, just FYI, because I do that occasionally. Not very often, but I do it. I have an iPhone and I can't combine through eBay app, but if you log in through the browser, yeah, I know the browser. You got to do a bunch of extra stuff. It's just not worth all the hassle. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I realize that, Kelly. I just, I have vision issues, so I don't like to mess with this small stuff on the phone, and it's a nuisance. We've got laptops everywhere, so it's any room in the house I can just slide onto eBay in like a 10-second window there. So, yeah, but I get you there. Richard Midor, would you classify yourself as one of the largest postcard sellers? No, not at all. There's somebody else who's got like, I want to say close to 100,000 postcards. I'm nowhere near that in postcards. There's like a million plus, couple million postcards on eBay, I would gather. Plus you've got like Hip Postcard, you've got Del Camp. There's other sites that there's more postcards on Del Camp, I think, right now than on eBay, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't even try to dominate the postcard category, to be honest with you. I'm so far off on that one. I picked the ones, again, I could go out and we have a couple 100,000 postcards here, honestly, right now. So if I wanted to list postcards every minute of the day, I could do it for a long time. But I bounce around in it. I got ADHD, and then we'll switch around. I might do postcards for a week and then not do them again for 2 months sometimes. It just depends. If I get some good postcards, and those usually go up again, like I said earlier, I'll list the good postcards just to get my money back immediately, and then everything else is just free. You know, it's just profit. Whenever it gets listed, it gets listed. You can't do that when you're one-offing either. If you're just randomly picking stuff up, you pretty much got to list it right away. because that's where your money's at. That's where you're investing. You're not buying in bulk. So I try to stay away from that. Again, buying in bulk's the only way to go if you want to grow quicker, more efficiently, and more effectively. You've got to be able to up your game and buy more quantity for far less. The more I buy, the cheaper it is. Not always, but usually. So I'm getting my per item count down like drastically. We can get records, 45 records if I buy like 5,000 for a penny or less nowadays, each. And even if I wanted to just buy them and turn around and resell them, I can get them. I can turn around. I can pay less than a penny, like 0.9 tenths of a penny, and turn around and resell them for around 32 cents each, just in bulk sometimes too. And I can get sometimes $2 or $3 a piece just for chunkers, for just common stuff, as long as they're $15, $20 value, and I just don't want to list them individually. At the end of the day, by the time if I list a $15, someone to sell it at 15, I still, with records, I still have costs and the shipping, and then I've got cardboard. It doesn't always compensate me, but then I still have, like fees coming out and stuff like that. So I'm only going to make $10 or $12. I try to only list things that I'm going to make like $15 on. Again, I try not to list anything under $15 unless I have like penny into it, a couple cents, 10 cents or whatever, and I'm going to make almost all profit off of it. Let me pop back over here. A mighty leaf. Oh, wait, hang on a second. I don't want to miss anybody. If it flips, it chips. Cross-posting is a sin. It only floods the market with the same darn item. It's not a sin to cross-post, in my opinion. What the take is on this is there are diehard Etsy fans, tons of them. And those folks don't always go to other platforms to check things out. They're diehard eBay fans. They don't mess with Etsy. It's smaller. They don't mess with Mercari. They don't mess with Poshmark. And then there's Poshmark people who only do Poshmark these days. So the only way to get the biggest, broadest reach, the most viewers for your item, is to have your item all over the place. It's a business decision. It hasn't. You're taking it from, again, no disrespect whatsoever. That's going at it from I would say more of a personal approach. All businesses want to have their stuff in front of as many people as possible. That's why people pay to advertise. If you're a wholesaler, you own your own business and you make your own products, they're going to pay Amazon to advertise because they're going to get in front of the most amount of people. If you want to be seen by the most amount of people, you've got to have your stuff out where more people are going to see it. Even if Etsy is going to only increase your views by 30%, that's 30%. That's a huge chunk of new people seeing it. Maybe the other 70% are people who would have probably seen it on eBay. Maybe it's even higher, though, percent. Maybe it's half the people on Etsy. It'd be an interesting survey if somebody ever did one on that, to figure out how many people are buying or only going to Etsy versus how many people are only going to eBay, and then versus how many people go to both sites. Because I know there's a lot of people like Ruby Lane, for an example. There's some diehard niche, I don't want to call them groupies, but there's some people there that they only will go to there and deal with certain items there, and they only buy from certain people and things like that. They don't go to eBay and stuff. Sometimes they're it's stuff like that. They're niches. They're like clicks, I guess you would call it, with something like that. So I see it as a business decision. If I can increase my viewership or the eyes on my items by 30% as a business, and it's not going to cost me anymore because I'm going to sell enough of it, that's a business win-win. At the end of the day, you might increase your gross merchandise volume, your GMV, by 20%. That's a huge number. So if you're doing 100,000, you might be doing 120,000 the next year just by cross-listing it. Think of it as again, I'm not selling flooded items, so I don't have to worry. My items are on Etsy or Amazon or wherever I put the items on. It's not going to kill me because, again, I'm maybe competing with myself at best, but if they're auto-synced, the items come down on the other side, so I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. Just I'm gaining, even if it's 10%, 15%. Those are 10 or 15% of the folks that are viewing your items that wouldn't have viewed them if you didn't cross-list them somewhere else. Look at it from that. Do a pros and cons sheet on it. I do everything as a pros and cons. What's my benefit from cross-listing? More people viewing my items. What's one of the cons? I have to pay to sync as a con. I have to pay to sync because I'm not going to cross-list 75,000, 100,000 items from various platforms to somewhere else unless somebody else is going to pull them down. The biggest reason for Shopify and the whole trouble over ending and sell similar, which creates new and it won't sync and all this, is just that aspect of it. I would cross list and I would sell sometimes 10 or 15% of hundreds of listings that same day I listed them. So that meant if I cross listed at the very same time manually onto 3 different sites, I could have to take down 50 or 60 listings from 3 extra sites every single night of the week by hand, manually. So again, if you can't auto sync something, don't do it. If you get flooded, you're going to have to be spending hours at the end of the night when you may not want to, because out of the blue, someone bought a whole bunch of stuff and you're afraid they're going to sell on another platform. Auto sync's the only thing you have to have. That's a necessity in my book these days. It's not a want. It's not something you need. It's a necessity. If you're going to have multiple broadcast your items to many sites and you've got thousands of listings, you've got to be safe. You can't afford a ding on any platform these days. You've got to be the best, tip-top, top-notch all the way across the board if you want to do well on it. That's just the way I see it. I don't see any other way around it. Again, if you're enjoying the conversation, please slam that thumbs up. I've got 142 people in the house, 242 people in the house, 147 thumbs up down there. Let's see where we're at. Let's see. Well, hang on. I don't want to miss anybody. Mighty Leaf, just hit my 1-year anniversary on eBay. Thank you for the willingness to share your experience and knowledge. Well, thank you very kindly, Mighty Leaf. Sarah B, hello there. New to chat, making profits in Tennessee. Been through Tennessee quite a few times. Not a bad place to source, or at least it didn't used to be. Enjoy all the cool things you showed down. Thank you. Thank you, Psalm 119. Angie Crowell. Live in Hernando. We've got two. I've got a Tesoro, or a Golden Saber by Tesoro is the one that I use the most. Golden Saber 2 is the brand. I know Tesoro's not around. And then I've got an Ace 250, I think is the other one. I love metal detecting. I haven't done it in a little while, but some of the buttons that I showed in a couple videos, I dug those all up. I dug 42 Civil War buttons at a Ohio regimental campsite that somebody invited me to go metal detecting on. It was probably the best metal detecting day I've ever had. Bullets galore. And anyway, I've sold hundreds. I paid for both of the detectors in that one trip. I've already had them paid for anyway, but I love metal detecting. I love finding the gold. I've got a couple gold rings and stuff like that we found. Always loved that. I scrapped them, of course, because they weren't in the greatest condition, but if it flips, it chips. Yeah, I do care about money, but I'm not greedy. I'm not trying to get every dime. I don't try to milk everybody. I don't care if I buy up everything. I'm not trying to just scoop. I've got so much stuff. I mean, honestly, from 2.5 years ago, I got a video of me pulling up and buying some hand-colored maps. You can see them on a table. You can see me buy them. You see them walking to the car. Haven't sold a single one of those in 2.5 years. And I sunk some money into them. I think I spent a couple $100 maybe there or something. I don't remember the total amount. There's a lot of money in those. Those are hundreds of dollars. I haven't even touched them. I could go on a list of stuff that we haven't even listed since buying it. I got a stack of colonial newspapers. Haven't listed a single one. It took me 8 months to list the Revolutionary War sheet music that we had. I mean, yeah, I know I'm rambling now. Serbi, where are we at? I enjoy the cool things. Got that one. Good morning from Australia, the reseller boomer. Well, how are you doing? Good to see you in the house. Let's see here. Amazon offers cross-platform fulfillment. Walmart is now offering in beta. Now, I have not heard of the cross. Again, I don't check the Reddit boards or any of that stuff on Amazon. I just do my own thinking cross-list. I haven't seen or received anything on cross-platform fulfillment. Yeah, I'll have to look into that because I haven't seen anything on that. I'm sure somebody would have called it to my attention prior to this, but you could be right. I'll have to look into that though. Hang on just a second here. I've kind of lost where I was at. Hey, Auction Monkey, thank you very kindly for the super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, not necessarily greatly appreciated, though. Very kind of you for the $10 super chat, Auction Monkey. Good evening to you as well. Glad to have you back in house. I'm trying to get down to where I was. Pudding's postcards. What would you pay for a book worth 125 bucks? If it's worth 125 bucks, are you talking about just a solid book, a normal book? Maybe 20 bucks, 30 bucks at best. Again, you don't know you're going to get 125 bucks until you actually get it. So I never count my eggs before they're hatched. And I say that. Let's say you look on eBay and it's some really rare book, or at least you don't see any copies selling very often. There's maybe one on Terapeak, and that's it. There may only be one single person in that year time frame that would have even been looking for that book, let alone spent 125 bucks on it. Again, why I price mine higher, why I go with my prices versus other folks, why if 10 people had something priced at 10 bucks, I still may put 20 or 30 on it, is because a lot of times it may come down to more than just, hey, everybody else sold it for 10, I should sell it for 10. It may come down to that specific person seeing it. And I mean, there's so many reasons. So even if 2 or 3 sold for 125 bucks, how many people are interested in spending that kind of money for that specific book? So I'm always thinking that even if I say, hey, well, it looks like it might go for 125, I don't know. So I'm not going to shell out a high dollar amount for something I can't guarantee that money's coming back. If 150 of these sold and all of them went for 125, different story. You could afford to go 50 bucks into it. But if you can't guarantee it, don't do it. Get it as cheap as possible, 20, 30 bucks. Again, you've got cost of goods, you've got, your time, your labor, eBay fees, taxes. That all adds up. So you've got to factor that in. If you're not going to double your money, double your total investment. If your total investment of your time, eBay fees, taxes, your cost of the goods itself is half of half of what the item sold for, you're okay. I mean, that would be okay, I would say. Yeah, as I said, we own quite a few categories, smaller niches and stuff. I've come to the conclusion that the big categories are out of league. You'd be spending all years trying to get up to the top to beat. Like there's a guy that sells matchbooks and he's got like 100,000 of them. Mr. Magazine, $1 Million Peddlers, great guys too. He has he's got 100,000 listings, magazines and stuff. I'll never be that. I'll need a warehouse his size just to do it, and no way I'd want to have that overhead. I mean, I know he's making buck and bank and all that, but I'm trying to simplify what we do and sell and stuff like that, I guess. Economy could get rough. Yes, the economy could get rough, Matt. Excellent point. Economy-wise, I can tell you though, the economy was rough. In the housing crash, it didn't affect my eBay sales at all. Maybe clothing. I have to say, the clothing and home goods, yeah, but we just started picking up with antiques and collectibles. Right now, antiques and collectibles are still selling. I'm not having the problems we've had when I was selling clothing. We're still doing those nice days, hundreds of dollars on a day, and I'm not sweating it at all. Summer's almost over, the economy and all that. I know it could have issues, but the stuff that I sell is stuff that people have extra. It's expendable money. Nobody's buying the stuff that I'm selling because they need it. Nobody needs a thing that I sell in the store I share with everybody. No one needs a single solitary item for my store. Nothing. 30+ thousand items in the store I share, and no one needs anything in that store. So it's already extra money that someone's just blowing because they can. So if you're selling stuff that people are going to have expendable income, they're retired and they're living whatever, you're good to go. At least for the most part, it's going to be a steady yearly stream of income. You do the little tweaks, you mess with your account, you feed the machine, you keep throwing new listings up and on and on and on. Things start to go in the right direction. If 100% sell-through, it's hard to get a sell-through rate flourishing flow from eBay. You can't use the active listings versus the sold listings to judge on the sales, a sell-through rate. There could be 10 that sold on eBay, and they all sold in the same month, and then none sold again after that at all. That's the thought on this. I never count my eggs before they're hatched on anything. I never trust that the sale price on an item on eBay is going to still be there when it's time or when I buy the item. Again, if 3 or 4 sold for $100, it doesn't mean there's a 4th or 5th person who wants to buy yours for that same price. I've had, I've talked about earlier in the show, I talked about having the only of something up for years. As time goes by, the price of that item, the amount of people that have to have it or are big time collectors, the price will keep going down steadily. Why? Why would the price go down after the item's been up for a little while? Well, the diehard collectors, like the wife collects Weebles. Twice a day, 3 times a day, someone here, maybe not me or the wife, but someone here checks any new listings for Weebles. The diehard collectors are going to know and find your item immediately if they really want it. Then you've got the moderate collectors who will look for the item, once a month or when they get some free time or some extra bucks. And then you get the people who just start collecting or don't know much or randomly run across your item that'll buy it. So there's a bunch of different types of collectors, and that has a play in collectible items, vintage and collectibles, as to what an item may sell for. Tobacco labels. I've sold some for hundreds of dollars, but you'll hit a mark where there's only so many people will pay $100 for a specific label. There's maybe 100 other people who would want that label, but they'll never spend it because they're smaller time collectors. They don't have the big bankroll like the heavy duty collectors have. So once the big time collectors, and again, in certain fields like cigar box labels, the heavy end collectors know everybody. They know every collector who's into that field because they all end up at the same high end auctions like Sotheby's and stuff like that. So you've got to understand the different types of collectors that the vintage items I sell, the biggest risk you have is buying multiples of the same item and only having a limited number of collectors so you won't sell all the items. That's why you got to get the most you can out of the items first. You got to get them out first and get your money back and then worry about it later. And sometimes it's important to take a gap and not list certain items until the market has cleared out some of the other people selling it, so then you can come back in and dominate it once more. Not something I do super, super often. Las Dos Palmas. Well, thank you again for another super chat there. I greatly appreciate it. Or it might be the same one. I'm not sure why it's showing it to me this way, but thank you again either way. Our ranking is based off of how much money you make, not number of listings. Yeah, I understand that philosophy on it. If that is correct, which I really, again, I don't buy that ranking number at all. That would mean that, like in postcards, I'm ranked in in single digits. I'm ranked pretty high, I know, and I only have like 5,000 listings. And I know I looked at the numbers before. I personally knew people that their ranking was different and they're selling more than me. So I don't. The calculations are based on things that I don't think eBay keeps track of correctly. It's just like when you look at Terapeak and it tells you the listing was free shipping when it really wasn't, or a price won't be quite right, or it doesn't show up all the listings that have sold. I think some are gone. Like if you click on a listing and it says it's not there, that's some of the play of what's going on. I think there's some issues going on with eBay and not keeping track properly. I really don't trust their numbers. I'll just put it that way. I get the point, though, definitely, Matt. Yeah, I think on the ranking he's talking about, I think the only thing they're ranking you on is your sales and your sales alone. They don't care about that when they're talking about ranking. Those are sales rank numbers, from what I understand. I've heard that from somebody at eBay once before, or maybe a couple times. But I had a long discussion about the listing quality report, and then we delved into rankings because the listing quality report states your ranking on it. That's where I'm sure Matt's talking about that. But again, I didn't buy some of them. It listed me at like the number 2 spot in a huge section, and I'm like, there's no way I'm number 2. I know buttons and stuff and other things I'm number 1 and stuff and have been for a while, but the point is that it was ranking me like in single digit numbers and categories I couldn't fathom being that high ranked. Again, I know it's sales numbers and all, but I just don't trust eBay's numbers. I'll just put it that way. Again, nothing against Matt, no disrespect to anybody out there. I don't, from personal things I've seen and been told, I don't trust their numbers. I'm not saying the person on the phone was lying to me. Whoever I talk to, even the Anchor Store support, which I still get, which is concierge basically to U.S. Customer service, they're given a screen. They're given what to say. They're given a telephone log of, say this next, or this is the information the person's looking for. There's an AI in their database that gives them the most relevant information. It's all set up for them. Some of them obviously just repeat the same thing because they've been told this. They get printouts or sheets or email. I don't know how they come in, but I've seen a couple in the past. Somebody who works at eBay gave me some documents before, but and they're given like, this is the talking points for this new feature that's wrong, all kinds of stuff like that. And sometimes that's what they go by, and sometimes the information they're given is wrong. We've even had them corrected on eBay's own platform, even on their discussion boards, on eBay's own discussion boards, let alone on Reddits and stuff. Henry asked, the National Sports Card Show just was last week. People said prices were way high, probably due to $3,000 setup. Wow. Well, thank you again, Las Dos Palamos. Hey, Craig, I got Landshark Picker in the house, another YouTuber. Welcome in, Craig. Hopefully you're doing well. Yes, things are going pretty good on this end. Thanks again, Michelle. Yes, hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the conversation. 170 thumbs up. I got 247 people in house right now. Let me slide up down here a little bit. Stay out of Michigan. Paulo Miami, welcome. Brouhaha. John, I had a hard category since there are advertising cards, holiday cards, national parks, national art cards, not to mention vacation foreign cards. Don't mess with foreign cards if you're talking about postcards, unless they're China. Thank you, Brouhaha. My wife's idea one. Welcome, welcome. Postcard market is flooded now. Okay, now here let's get into this for a second here. If it flips, it ships. The postcard market is not flooded. Quantity doesn't dictate flooding in the postcard market category because 99.9% of postcards are not the same. There's 20 million different postcards just printed in like half of the country in probably 20 years, in a small time frame. So it's not like there's somebody selling 1,000, or there's 1,000 vendors selling 1,000 of the same Nike shoes or 1,000 of the same Nike shirts. They're selling 1,000 different. Those 5,500,000 postcards are different. The vast majority of them. No one's selling, or almost no one is selling quantity. They're only one-offs, almost every one. We may have 24 postcard lots, or maybe 3 or 4 dozen postcard listings that have more than one of that same postcard. But for the general rule, they're all different. I don't think I have the same postcard up of any sort. You're not going to find it. So the quantity sold doesn't dictate that it's a flooded category. You can't relate the same. The people listing postcards who don't know them may be flooding their own selves, but like a California postcard, most the sell-through rate on a California postcard is probably 75 or 80% of the time. You're going to sell it fairly quickly if it's a decent card. Just depends on the card itself. You can't flood a category like the vintage categories, maybe like vintage action figures and games because they mass produce them, but most of the other stuff, there's no mass amount of them available anymore. It's only buying from a collector who has one of each card. You're not going to walk up and have them 50 of this or 50 of that and all these new things thrown up. So it's not a postcard market having 5,500,000 and only selling 500,000 is not the same. And again, you're not judging the fact that if I list it on eBay, it's auto synced to other places. So even if I don't sell it on eBay, I'm selling it somewhere else too, possibly. So those numbers are probably much higher than that, the amount that are selling. Most postcard people that I know at least do at least a couple of sites with the postcards. We sell them on Amazon, for crying out loud. So, I mean, there's opportunities out there with postcards. You just have to know the cities, the types of postcards that sell best, and you're going to be good to go. That's the gist on it. I don't list a lot of cards under a certain dollar amount and on and on and on. And I know a lot of the heavier hitters who have thousands of postcards up do the same. They don't list the cheaper postcards. It's not worth my hassle, my time, or anything else like that. At least for me, it's not. Hey, Dave, Midwest Picker, another fellow YouTuber in-house. Good to see you here. And the bank makes no interest. The bank makes interest on your money. They don't make as much as they used to, but they do make money or interest on it. Chakra Khan. Well, thank you very kindly. We're going to end it off here. I know I'm running late today. Some days I ramble a little bit. Garrett Anderson. They closed all Salvation Army thrift stores near me and the other towns in the area. I never learned why. Mismanagement. I'll give you again. Tomorrow's video, it's already shot, is the best Salvation Army items we've ever found. That's the title, word for word, what's going to be up tomorrow. And it's going to be a dive into some whole category on Salvation Army stuff. It's, again, you'll see the best item we've ever found related to Salvation Army. So, anyway. We're going to end it off on there. I know I'm rambling now, and we've got still a bunch on there. Again, I thank everybody for the super chats. I was surprised we got so many of them. I know I've got I got a whole bunch I didn't get to. I try to answer everything we can, but any comments on eBay second quarter numbers? I've been so busy this week, I haven't even seen any eBay second quarter numbers. Are they out? I'm going to end it off after this, as I'm just curious on if they are out. Reports better than expected. Second quarter in revenue up 2%. A revenue of down 9% on an as-reported basis and down 6%. Gross merchandise volume of 30. Well, it doesn't look that good to me. It's better than they expected, but they didn't expect it to be very good, so that's not saying much. Per share diluted, 99 cents. We have a continuing base returns over to shareholders. Again, this is all stock crap. It doesn't affect us. On the operating margin, second quarter financial highlights. I'm just shooting over their numbers. Maybe I'll put a video together. I don't know. I'm trying to pass forward down to the part that affects us. Let's see here. Second quarter. Okay, second quarter financial highlights. So last year they did net revenue 2,668. This year that's probably 2,422,000,000. So this year they were down $246 million just in second quarter, and last year they were up obviously. So they're losing the gains that they made. Income loss from continuous operation. So this year they lost. Last year they made. So that's not good either. Earnings per share last year was 43 cents. This year it's negative 96 cents. So net income this year is down. Earnings per diluted share is flat. So they're screwing around with operating costs and stuff, and they're making more money off of our backs is what I see here. Business outlook. Yeah, I don't see anything to make it look like eBay knows what they're doing. Again, we're living in a bubble that eBay's creating with these, send in to guarantee with the vault. That's going to, in my opinion, when the Wall Street investors pull out of our markets because the traditional markets are back to where the money's at, it's all going to come tumbling down, and eBay could be out for some really bad trouble. When there's not enough people wanting to buy $5,000 trading cards because they think they're going to make a profit through their Wall Street, portfolio, it's not going to be good for the rest of us. The people that are keeping Marvel Universe 1 cards from the early 90s, individual cards graded selling for $3,000, those are investors. There's no way on earth that someone's buying a Marvel Universe 1 Black Panther card for $3,000 unless they're a Wall Street investor. It's no way. No way on earth. The comic book markets shot up because of that, and the VHS, the video game markets, all those markets are up because of grading. Once you can grade a card, you can invest in it. You can invest. The only way you can invest in collectibles and get it, backed up with portfolio and all that stuff is to have it gradable and to have indexing for it, as well as a standardized pricing grading structure, which the grading companies create, which allows you to do like piece out like of an investment where 10 people would invest in like $100,000 company. None of them could afford it on their own, but they can piecemeal out those investments, and that's what's happening right this second. Call around to some Wall Street brokers or some financial brokers in your area and ask them if you can invest in collectibles. Most of the ones I talk to are now offering it. That's the reason the markets are the way they are. And eBay doesn't know collectibles other than they have sales data. They don't know what the data is showing them because I don't trust that they understand what they're looking at. That's just my opinion. There isn't some guru there who knows all these categories that can say, yeah, there's a bubble here, there's a bubble there. When you're banking on the trading card industry to stay where it's at for, infinity, they're crazy. They've crashed twice just since the 90s. Like every 10 years they crash. It's about time for the trading card sporting industry to have another one of those. They flooded the market crap days when people are tired of everything being limited, everything being... So that's where the problem's going to happen. Hang on. Yeah, we always seem to get those. We'll go ahead and report them just to get them blocked. Yeah, and it never fails. You get those on almost every show, it seems like. Hang on, I finally found the thumbs up. Well, thank you very kindly. I'll just shout out one last time. We're going to end it here. I'm over what I usually go. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the conversation. Again, if you didn't, or if you enjoyed the conversation and haven't hit the thumbs up, please slam that thumbs up. Got 184 thumbs up. I've got 226 people in-house. Again, appreciate everybody coming on. Thanks for the love, for the super chats and the whole works. We're going to let it go at that. Tomorrow I have a video up. Patreon video will be up this weekend. I'm going to try and get to everybody still tonight on Patreon, at least the emails, if nothing else. I got a lot because this weekend, again, I've been on the road. We've had some necessity to be traveling to pick up and do some things. But I thank you all. I hope you all have a good night.